Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what you're about to hear is a fairy tale. You'll probably recognize the characters, but you may be surprised by the setting. Fairy tales, it turns out, can happen anytime and any place. This particular fairy tale happened to a young lady who was studying at a conservatory. That's another word for a music school. At this conservatory, there were hundreds of students, and they all played different instruments. You're probably familiar with many of them. There were trumpets, and there were clarinets. There were flutes. And trombones. And drums. There were deep, low basses. And beautiful cellos. And there were many, many violins. There was even a harp. But this story isn't about any of them. It's about a girl who played an instrument that you probably haven't heard of before. It's called the viola. So just what is a viola? Every orchestra has lots of violas in it, but hardly anyone ever notices them because they look so much like violins. In fact, they even sound a lot like violins. But the viola is just a little bigger than the violin, and because of that, it can play deeper, lower notes than the violin. Which means it's not as screechy. The viola is smaller than the cello, though, which means it can play higher notes. In fact, the viola fits right into the middle of the orchestra, not too high and not too low. Now that we know what violas are and a little bit about the other instruments, it's time to tell our story. Thank you. It happened once upon a time, not so long ago, that there were 3 girls who lived together at a conservatory. One of the girls played the flute. One of them played the oboe. And one of them, whose name was Cinderella, played the viola. The 3 girls loved playing music together, but sometimes Cinderella's roommates weren't very nice to her. In fact, when they were playing together, they usually blamed all of their own mistakes on Cinderella. Cinderella, you messed up that section again, said the flute player. Are you sure? Asked Cinderella. I've been practicing that section for days, and I think I played it right. No, I'm pretty sure it was your fault too, said the oboe player, because why else would Ashley and I both have gotten off? Oh, well, I guess you have a point. Well, I think we've had enough practicing for one day, said Ashley. Besides, Jessica and I have to go pick up our dresses to play in the big competition tonight. What? Said Cinderella. I thought you said we didn't have to wear fancy dresses to play in the competition. Well, you don't have to wear anything fancy, Ashley said, but it certainly helps to make a good impression. Don't you know anything, Cinderella? Just then, there was a knock at the door. Mrs. Kookarow was an older lady who lived with the students and made sure that they were staying out of trouble. Mrs. C also fancied herself a great diva of the operatic stage. "Ladies, are you ready to go pick up your dresses? It's getting late. There's not much time left." "Yes, Mrs. Kookarow," said Cinderella's roommates. "Mrs. Kookarow?" asked Cinderella. "I just found out that we need to wear nice dresses for the competition tonight. Is there any way I could come with you? I don't know how I would ever afford a nice dress like that." "There, there, dear," said Mrs. Kookarow. "Don't worry about the competition. Take my professional advice. Nobody would ever pick a Viola to win anyway. There's no use getting upset about these little things. Come along, girls." Cinderella was left standing alone in the hallway, and she was very unhappy about what Mrs. Kookarow had just said. She could hear all the other students practicing their concertos down the hall. A concerto is a piece of music where one instrument is the star of the show. That instrument stands out from the orchestra and has the most important part. There was Naoko, the bassoon player. There was Yuri, the pianist. There was even Heidi, who played the French horn. But just then, when Cinderella thought she had absolutely no hope of playing in the competition, her friend Clara saw her standing alone in the hallway. Clara played the viola too. "Cinderella, why aren't you practicing for the competition tonight? It's almost time for it to start." "Oh, Clara, there's no point. I didn't sign up for an audition. I don't have a dress. And besides, nobody will ever pick a viola player to win." "Sounds like you've been talking to your roommates again," said Clara. "But you can't listen to them. You are the best viola player at this whole conservatory. You've just got to play so that you can win and show everyone that violas really do matter." Just then, Tyler the tuba player came running around the corner and accidentally knocked into Cinderella while she was holding her instrument. "Sorry, girls," he said, and then ran off. Cinderella looked down at her instrument. Her viola had snapped in half. "Oh no," she cried. "Now I don't even have an instrument to play. There's no way I can get this fixed before tonight." "Wait," said Clara. "You could go up to the instrument shop and see if Mr. Zaltowski can fix it." "Mr. Zaltowski? But he's crazy. The last time I took my viola to him, he tried to put wings on it. But I guess it's my only hope." So off Cinderella went to visit the workshop of Mr. Zaltowski, which was up on the highest floor of the conservatory. Cinderella had to walk all the way up 10 flights of stairs carrying her broken viola. The elevator wasn't working that day. She finally reached the top of the staircase and peered into the workshop through a crack in the door. It was a cramped, dusty room lit only by the work lamp hanging over Mr. Zaltowski's desk. Mr. Zaltowski was a strange little old man who had been working at the conservatory since before anybody could even remember. His main job was to fix the students' instruments when they needed fixing. But Mr. Zaltowski was also an inventor. He was always trying to make new and improved instruments that would sound better than any others that had been made before. He rarely met with much success. Cinderella knocked on the door. "Who is it?" said a voice from behind the door. Mr. Zaltowski, this is Cinderella. Can I come in?" "Just a minute," said the old man. He shuffled around the workshop and opened the door. "Can I help you?" Oh, Mr. Zaltowski, my viola just broke, and today's the day of the big competition. Is there any way you can fix it? Let me see here. Oh, yes, I remember this viola. What happened to the wings? They flew away, said Cinderella. I see. Well, yes, I can certainly fix this for you, young lady. Oh, really? In time for the big competition tonight? Tonight? Why, no, I'm afraid not, Cinderella. That's just too soon. Oh, well, thanks anyway, said Cinderella, and she turned around to walk through the door. Oh, but wait, said Mr. Zaltowski. I do have another instrument that you could use. In fact, it's a brand new viola. I just finished making it. Oh, you made it, Mr. Zaltowski? Yes, in fact, it is my greatest masterpiece. Cinderella was worried now. Mr. Zaltowski was not exactly known for making masterpieces. Nevertheless, she thought she might give it a try. Mr. Zaltowski brought out the instrument. It was an ordinary enough viola, nothing special to look at. She lifted it up to her chin, placed the bow on the strings, and began to play. Mr. Zaltowski, exclaimed Cinderella, this viola is wonderful. I can't believe you made it. I can't believe I never knew you were making it until now. Oh, yes, it's very special. In fact, it is my life's work. And you're sure I can borrow it tonight? Oh, I don't see why not. Just then, something caught Cinderella's eye way up on the highest shelf in the workshop. It was a piece of paper with the word concerto written on top. Mr. Zaltowski, what's that piece of music up on your bookshelf? Where? Well, I don't know. I've never noticed it before. Could I see it? Certainly, said Mr. Zaltowski, and he jumped up on top of the desk. Mr. Zaltowski was surprisingly nimble for a man his age, and he brought down the music for the concerto. Cinderella began to look at it. A viola concerto. This must have been here for decades and decades, said Mr. Zaltowski. Hey, this looks just like the scales I've been practicing, but it's so beautiful. Mr. Zaltowski, do you think I could play this for the competition tonight? Well, certainly, replied Mr. Zaltowski. Wow, I can't believe it. A new viola and a brand new concerto all in the same night. I bet I could even win this competition. Oh, wait, there's just one thing. I still don't have a dress. Oh, they'll never take me seriously if I show up looking like this. A dress? Asked Mr. Zaltowski. What are you, about a size 6? Uh-huh. I've got just the thing. Mr. Zaltowski scurried into the back room and emerged a second later with a beautiful flowing gown for Cinderella to wear. But where did you... Cinderella started to ask. Never worry about that, my dear, said Mr. Zaltowski. But I have to have this dress back by midnight tonight. Oh, really? Asked Cinderella. But why? Never you worry, my dear, said Mr. Zaltowski. Now run along so that you can go play in the competition. So Cinderella ran all the way back down the stairs and hurried to the auditorium where the competition was taking place. When Cinderella arrived at the auditorium, she was shocked to see hundreds of people standing in line. She walked all the way to the back and took her place. "What's going on?" she asked Clara, who was standing in line in front of her. "I can't believe there are so many people here. It's practically the whole school." "Didn't you hear?" asked Clara. "Everyone found out that the surprise guest judge for the competition is Marcel Olivier. Not only that, but he's going to conduct the concerto himself. And whoever wins, he's going to take on a concert tour of the world." A conductor, I should explain, is a very important person indeed. He's the person who stands in front of the orchestra and waves his baton. This particular conductor was particularly special. He was young and famous, and orchestras loved him. Needless to say, with the prospect of a world tour, every student in school had turned out to play for the competition. "Well," Cinderella said to herself, "the only thing to do is to stand here and practice until I get to the front of the line." Meanwhile, inside the auditorium, Cinderella's roommates were playing their concertos for the conductor. First, there was Ashley, the flute player. Thank you. That will be more than enough," said Maestro Olivier. "Oh, are you sure? Because there's still a page left in my music?" No. I was able to get a great impression of your skills already," said the maestro. Ashley smiled and walked off the stage, obviously proud of the job she had done. She passed Jessica the oboist as she was leaving the stage. "Good luck," she said. Then Jessica had her turn. She hadn't had much of a chance to warm up. She never seemed to be ready when the time came. "Okay, that's more than enough. Thank you." And after them, there were dozens and dozens more auditions. Cinderella slowly made her way to the front of the line, hardly even realizing that time was passing. She was so totally involved in practicing her new concerto that before she knew it, it was starting to get very late. An assistant came out to where the few remaining contestants, including Cinderella, were still standing in line. "I'm sorry to tell you all, but the maestro has listened to all the contestants he will be hearing. Thank you for your patience, and good night." But Cinderella didn't even notice him. She kept playing and playing. She didn't even notice when the maestro himself was walking to his car right in front of her, talking on his cell phone. "Oh, yes, I know that I've got a plane to be on in 1 week, Donovan, but I still don't think I've found the right one." "Cancel the tour?" "Well, I don't know. We might have to." "Wait a minute," said the maestro. "What is this beautiful music? I have to call you back, Donovan." "You," he said to Cinderella. "Are you here for the competition?" "Me?" "Yes, are you a student at this school?" "Well, yes, but Quick, get on the stage. I have time to listen to just one more audition tonight." Cinderella hurried onto the stage with her new viola and the score to the concerto that she had found in Mr. Zaltowski's workshop. The music began to play. Yes? What's that, Donovan? I can't hear you. It's midnight, you say? I completely lost track of time. Midnight, said Cinderella. Oh no! I have to get back to Mr. Zaltowski's workshop. And she rushed off the stage. Wait! What is your name? Shouted the conductor. But it was too late. Cinderella had already left the building, and the only thing that was left was the score of the concerto, still sitting on her music stand. The next morning, the three girls woke up and ran to their computers to check their email in the hopes of finding out who had won the competition. Wait, a what? Said Ashley. It says here that the clear winner of last night's competition didn't sign up for an audition, so nobody knows who it was? That can't be right. Let me see, shouted Jessica. Maestro Olivier will be going around the conservatory today to find the young lady who left her music on the stand at the end of the auditions? There was a knock at the door. It was Mrs. Kukuro. Ladies, did you read the news? Maestro Olivier is coming to our building today. Yeah, but he's looking for a violist, said Ashley. A violist? Well, what on earth would he want with a violist? I'm thinking of preparing a recital of Mozart arias, just in case he's got a few spare minutes. No, Mrs. Kukuro. He's only coming here to listen to viola players try to play some stupid piece of music that got left on a stand last night. And whoever can play it will win the concerto competition. Oh, there must be some mistake. I'm sure you didn't have anything to do with this, did you, Cinderella? What, me? No, not really. Hey, where were you last night anyway? Oh, I went to Mr. Zaltowski's office to get my viola fixed. Somebody knocked into it while I was standing in the hallway. Well, this is all very silly, girls. After all, it's only a viola concerto. It must be easy enough for even the simplest of musicians to play it. You'll all try it out. Meanwhile, the young maestro was going from building to building, listening to musicians try to play the concerto. First, there were trombones. But the music was too high for them. Then there were violins. but the music was too low for them. Then things got really crazy. Someone even tried to play it on the xylophone. But something was lacking in the expression of it all. In fact, nobody else could play the piece quite like Cinderella had played it the night before. Eventually, Maestro Olivier arrived at Cinderella's building. He was greeted by Mrs. Coukero. "Maestro, Maestro, do come in. We have been expecting you. I have chosen some of our most talented students to play for you. I'm sure you'll find the winner in no time, which is wonderful, because I have prepared a lovely recital of Mozart arias for the rest of your visit." "No," said the maestro, "that won't be necessary. I'm just looking for one particular viola player." "Oh, well, we've hardly got any of those here. But this lovely young lady plays the flute so beautifully. Why don't you start with her?" Ashley sat down in front of the music. She had never been very good at reading music. The maestro began to play. No, I'm quite sure it wasn't her. "Oh, no? Well, we have a very talented oboist here as well. Jessica?" "Oh, no, I remember this young lady very well from last night. I'm quite sure it's not her either." Cinderella and her friend Clara were sitting in the back of the room, listening to the proceedings. "Cinderella, why don't you try to play that piece? It sounds just perfect for you." "Oh, Clara, I would, but remember what happened in the hallway yesterday? I still don't have my instrument." Just then, Mr. Zaltowski came rushing in through the door. "Cinderella? Oh, Cinderella! Oh, there you are! I have fixed your viola." He ran over to where Cinderella was sitting. Somehow, Mr. Zaltowski looked different. "Thank you so much, Mr. Zaltowski. But say, is that glitter around your eyes?" "What? Oh, no, my dear. It's just the dust from the wood in the workshop." "Oh. But is that rouge on your cheeks?" "Oh, no, my dear. It's just the varnish that I used to paint the violins." "Oh," said Cinderella. "But is that Cinderella? There's no time for all these questions. The maestro is getting ready to leave." Mr. Zaltowski rushed Cinderella to the front of the room. "Maestro," he said to the conductor, "this young lady would like to have a chance at playing for you." "Oh, is that a viola you've got there? Very well. Go ahead." There was no question. Cinderella was obviously the winner. Together, the maestro and Cinderella toured all the major cities of the world, playing the concerto wherever they went. Cinderella became the world's most famous viola player. That is, the world's only famous viola player.